DNA: How the Double Helix Revolutionized Medicine and Society by Koby, and Ian Emke.
DNA grasps the attention of thousands of people, fascinating others with its simplistic nature. Many simply don't know what to do with it, or where to start on how much it changed the world. The double helix's discovery in 1953 revolutionized medicine and society forever. Although the reforms were not immediate, the 70s opened the world of research, and DNA found its way into hospitals and culture everywhere. Gene therapy, forensics, genetic engineering, and cloning exploded out of this, changing the world forever.
How World War II impacted the researchers. There were 5 key researchers in the race to discover DNA. Their names were Francis Crick and James Watson, Rosalind Franklin and Maurice Wilkins, and Linus Pauling. Most of these scientists were in some way involved in World War II. For example, Maurice Wilkins helped to develop the atomic bomb, working in the Manhattan Project. His horror at his invention actually drove him to DNA research. Francis Crick helped design mines and countermeasures for the U.S. Navy. The final scientist that worked with the war effort was Linus Pauling. He was a huge activist and very strongly opposed the war effort, leading some to suspect that he was a communist.
The DNA model. The double helix's discovery did not happen immediately. Linus Pauling proposed a triple helical structure. James Watson and Francis Crick, a team, also proposed a triple helical DNA model, but Rosalind Franklin, known for her straight-to-the-point demeanor, quickly shot their design down. Rosalind never got along with anyone very well, and Watson continued to make this known and overly criticized and insulted her in his book, The Double Helix. However, one way that Watson's error was caused was his strange attention to Rosalind herself. Instead of taking important notes for Crick, he was paying attention to Rosalind's looks and in what ways she would look better. Looks or not, Rosalind later took the very photograph using X-ray crystallography that gave the knowledge to win the scientific race to Watson and Crick. The photograph, Photo 51, showed a very detailed image of DNA. Due to her somewhat abrasive nature, her and her partner, Maurice Wilkins, never really got along. To get back at her, it is likely that he was the one that showed Photo 51 to Watson and Crick. When Watson was shown the photo, he was amazed. Watson and Crick had not been using very inventive methods to study DNA, instead just making simple ball and stick models to try out their ideas. In his words, he later stated, "The instant I saw the picture, my jaw fell open and my pulse began to race." They discovered that DNA had the structure of a double helix, with the acid bases on the inside. In fact, DNA's structure was actually so simplistic, it was called unfit to compose every living creature on the planet. Pauling had thought that the DNA helix had the acids on the outside. Their findings were later published in a Nature magazine, also featuring one article by Wilkins and Franklin and one by Pauling.
Immediate reaction. The discovery immediately sparked interest throughout the scientific community, but it would be years before DNA would become a household term. George Beadle, a Nobel Prize winner for genetics, summed the discovery up by saying, "I regard the working out of the detailed structure of DNA as one of the great achievements of biology in the 20th century." Another man, Matt Ridley, commented, saying, "I genuinely believe that we are living through the greatest intellectual moment in history. Until now, our human genes were an almost complete mystery. We stand on the brink of great new answers." The discovery also made new jobs and broke scientific research up into several new branches.
The impact of this discovery did not come until much later, but when the knowledge really did take hold, it completely changed the field of medicine, for the better. With a more advanced knowledge of DNA, studies on sick people became more common. Gene therapy, the introduction of healthy genes into mutated DNA, is now a treatment in hospitals. Understanding of the double helix also can diagnose diseases and make such things as custom drugs to fit exactly what patients need to have. This usage can help to produce new disease-fighting drugs that can shape to the disease and eradicate it. Also in medicine, genetic engineering plays a huge part. For example, insulin is genetically engineered. Some vaccines and cancer therapeutics are produced by genetic engineering. Interestingly, animals are quite often genetically engineered, sometimes even to produce medicine. In the early 1990s, one single sheep was producing 1,000th of the world output of a protein used to treat emphysema. Desktop machines are common in DNA testing laboratories and have recently been used to identify diseases and test the likelihood of people inheriting or developing a disease. DNA organization plays a key role in all life. From beetles to beasts, armadillos to ostriches, anything that lives or once lived can be found just with the internet. Using the technology, we can discover how old, how advanced, or how different DNA can be, or where that species' origin is because of their characteristics and what adaptations they have. Half a century later, we have already developed a desktop machine that can crunch the numbers off of a sliver of DNA. Advances in medicine and technology in the 20th and 21st centuries are almost overwhelming, and none of them would ever have happened without a complex knowledge and understanding of the double helix. If we had never discovered the structure of DNA, we would still be oblivious as to which combinations of the acids and bases would be used to create formulas to fight diseases.
Impact in market and society. Not only has the discovery of the molecular structure of DNA affected medicine and science, but it has also influenced society itself.
Would you say that modern culture has really been affected by the double helix?
Yes, and one way I can answer that question is with 3 letters, CSI. So, going back to forensics, CSI effect, as it's been called, is that everyone knows DNA can be used in forensics. And even if you're not familiar with the science of DNA, even if you're not exactly sure what it is, even if you don't know if it's a double-stranded molecule, still most people know that DNA can be used in forensics and fight crime because of shows like CSI.
For example, much of the food we eat is in some way related to genetic engineering. To look more plump, keep longer, or ward off pests. There was a tomato called the Flavor Saver that was the first genetically altered whole food product in the world. This plant was genetically engineered to last longer, but it failed in the eyes of the market.
So we've been artificially breeding for thousands of years, and genetically modifying organisms can be a way of doing this more efficiently.
Cloning has been a great advance in science, but it has, more importantly, brought up great moral issues.
What is your outlook on how we should use our understanding of DNA?
Well, I think it's just like any other technology or tool. It can be used for great good, or it can be misused. DNA technology has great potential for medicine, understanding ourselves. It's just there's a huge amount we still need to learn, and I think we should continue that research on this.
This division of this discovery has progressed more than people think, but we are still struggling to clone humans successfully and still keep the DNA intact as it should be. Some people say that we are not able to clone humans because we are too complex, and others say that humans are so unique that it is not possible to completely replicate DNA, personality, or any other human characteristic that has to do with genes. No matter what moral questions are asked, it has been fantasized about by people for decades. From Calvin and Hobbes to Jurassic Park, cloning and genetic engineering has been an absolutely fascinating part of modern thought since the discovery of the double helix. A breed of black sheep have been able to be cloned, but the intelligence has not been able to be replicated, except for giving milk and eating.
Without the understanding that these scientists gave us, we would be nowhere near the advances we have reached today. Some key points we need to make are:
Since the discovery, the course of history has been altered, and this discovery set off a revolution that has still not stopped.
hospitals and schools alike are still reforming to the new standards and ideas that this discovery set in place.
The immediate reaction to the discovery was not a big blast, but this discovery is probably one of the most insightful and important things that has ever happened in the history of science and society overall.
The revolution we're seeing really now in DNA science is one of the revolutions is in sequencing, how much sequence information we can get. So, I mean, it's just incredible. In the future, we can imagine you can go to the doctor and you can have your genome analyzed so that the doctor can prescribe personalized medicine that fits you exactly. There's so much research going on right now related to DNA. I could go on and on just all day.